which is kind of weird because it went really well. Like for the most part, people were asking for an encore and stuff. Like the guy that went on after us. This is actually a funny story. I was hoping that I would remember to tell. It's our last concert we did. And I remember booking it with the guy, the booking agent. He said he was going to give me 40 minutes. So me and my cousin go, and my buddy that was on some of our songs and kind of hype man for me comes with us, and we're doing our songs, and the crowd's loving it. Like people are getting into it. Like we were bumping. And 15 minutes in, the buddy who's going to go on last and is also sort of putting on the show with the booking agent comes up and starts telling us that we got to shut her down. Like we're past our time and this and that. So I'm like, yo, buddy gave us 40 minutes. We had this whole set like with songs and skits and everything involved, right? Yo, blah, 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 blah. And so my hype man guy goes to the crowd. He's like, yo, want us to keep playing? And they all went, whoa. And so dude had no choice but to let us do a couple more songs, right? I find out later, and I didn't even realize it at the time, but this is the guy that's going on after us. And I'm like, oh, I understand now why you didn't want to fucking let us keep going, because you didn't want to follow us, because you're shit. Sorry, I'm a little bitter about that.
That's why.
But yeah, so that was like our last show, and the reactions were great. The guy that was on after us, his DJ, when we were done our set, was asking us if we had a CD, and we didn't have anything prepared. He's like, yo, do you guys got anything I could buy, blah, blah, blah. Again, like the MC guy didn't come up and say that. His DJ did, right? So yeah, it was a great show, man. Yeah, this part is kind of, I don't know if it's 100% because it's my hype man told me it, and I didn't see this in particular. But when he said to the crowd, "Y'all want us to keep going?" Everyone said yes, and there was one voice that you could hear going, "No!" And I didn't know who it was, but it was out, or who she was. It was a girl voice. She was outweighed by the crowd, so it didn't really occur to me. But my buddy went to the washroom after, and he said outside the washroom, he saw the girl that said no and asked her why, and it turned out to be the MC that wanted us off's mom.
Oh my
So
gosh,
like,
that
I
is
don't,
the
I
most
don't.
hilarious.
It seems too crazy to be true, but I don't know why he would make it up like that. So like, again, like I can't verify that 100%, but it surely adds to the story. It's
You
pretty
know what
funny.
though? But as you're telling me this story, I can see how it would, in a sense, satiate you because you get unlocked the other side of it right there. You
Yeah.
just see it. That side of it is a real part. Like I would not be remembering it with fondness if Mans tried to cut my set short, especially if you tell me you had skits and shit lined up. Like that shit would be like weird. I would have less faith in
Yeah, I was
people.
definitely not happy at that point.
So like I get it a little bit. Yeah. Tell us
The
about
way
your set though. Like you
the
have
way the
skits and
crowd
shit.
well, like the way the crowd reacted when Buddy asked if they wanted us to keep going, vindicated me. So I didn't feel as mad at Buddy trying to cut me off because I was like, I know why you're doing it, you pussy, and the crowd is not agreeing with you, so I don't really care how you feel about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I wasn't as mad after about that. I was kind of like, it felt almost like a victory to a fight that I didn't even start. Do you know what I mean? It was weird. Which actually, that's another thing reminds me. There was a literal fight that broke out after our set. There was a fight that broke out right in front of the stage that actually had to like be pushed while fighting out the side door and be dealt with outside. That was a whole other thing though. But yeah, about my set, like we had probably 25 to 30 minutes worth of actual songs. Um, but my cousin is very he's very creative. He's very weird. He when we started didn't even really like hip hop. Like there was maybe two rappers that he liked, but and that's what made his beats so different and so enjoyable to me is because his beats were coming from like an industrial metal techno sort of influence and space. Um, and I was mixing that with my rap. And as a fan of LP, obviously that appealed to me a lot, especially back then. So he would put these little, it would be like his little techno or just weird freak out like background beats in between songs, and he'd have like he just sampled like in one he had the little if you know the movie Taxi or yeah Taxi Driver Taxi
Yeah.
Taxi, right, with Robert De Niro. There's the one scene where the drug dealer's just like listing off drugs. He'd put that in over the weird beat and just like fuck with the vocals of it and shit like that. Um, so yeah, there'd be a bunch of that kind of stuff. There'd be like we'd have stuff that wasn't really songs that say we were just in development, where you just put on the the beat for a little while and I rap whatever verse I had at that time, right? So, but yeah, like I said, we had about 25 minutes of actual songs at the time, but Buddy was offering us 40 minutes and I wasn't going to say no. So we just managed to fill it up, right?
That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Was it all like choreographed? Did you all practice?
No, not really. Like it wasn't like there definitely wasn't any dance moves or anything like that. Like there was maybe choreographing as far as just more like scripting, right? Like, okay, when I put this on, you'll say this stuff and you'll, throw to Jack. That's my buddy, Jack. He could do a little bit of crowd hyping, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, like not like dance choreograph, but maybe a little bit of scripting sort of. But even then, it was pretty loose. I'm not a super awesome live performer, to be honest. It's not my favorite. It's my least favorite part of the whole thing. And I wouldn't say that I ever got very good at it.
It's like the best part to me. I hate the studio. Okay,
yeah?
like, I don't hate the studio, but I only like the studio when I'm good. I don't like the studio when I'm bad. And I'm bad more often than I want to admit in the studio, which is why I like recording at home. Because, some days I'm just not feeling it. I'll spend an hour, 2 hours, fucking scrap everything. Whereas live, you can fuck up.
Yeah.
I can work with the flawed nature of live in a way that the perfection of studio bothers me a little bit. Obviously, you get used to it. You don't go this long without fucking learning how to do it better.
That takes a lot, though.
But like the live part, I can drop 4 bars, pull it back in, look like an idiot for 4 bars, and know that I'll still have them by the end of the set, and it's okay. It'll be a shit video. I don't publish that part, but like. Yeah. In that moment, people are really forgiving, is what I learned. As long as you can bring it back with the same swagger and confidence like it never happened. And that shit I was always cool with.
Man, just to have that, to be able to do that and not just shut down. Like, that's a skill that or not that it can't be developed, but like, I think there's a naturalness to that. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be a confidence ahead of it, I think. I always found it difficult.
I don't know if it's easy, but I practice a lot beforehand. Like, to me, it was always like, I don't actually think I'm good, so I have to practice.
Right.
Like, I don't know, rappers tell me I'm supposed to believe in the best. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm not. I'm just interesting. I'm not gonna go with that, like, but it's like, I know I practice way more than a lot of my peers do. And I have to try harder than a lot of my peers do. And I'm down to do it.
And that will show up in the live show.
Yes, way more than it does in other environments because I don't have a choice. Like, I have to practice my set every time before I perform it, like 3-4 every
I
time.
have video of my first actual live show. So like we did a show at a YMCA, like punk rock sort of show it was just like almost kids compared to how old we were. But I knew a guy who ran the YMCA shows and I wanted to do it live in front of people before I did one that I cared about, if that makes sense. Like, no offense to the YMCA punk rock show, but if they hate me, I'm like, you know what I mean? It doesn't hurt as bad as if some hip hop heads are like, yo, this is whack. But my first actual hip hop show, I have video of it, and I hate watching it. Like, I hate watching myself. I look so awkward. I'm doing this the whole time I'm rapping, I'm like going back and forth like this, and I didn't even realize it. I assume it's just nervousness, and like it wasn't even that it was bad. Like, I didn't fuck up any of the rhymes or anything. It's just like looking at myself be so awkward and new to it.
Yeah, I relate heavy. I'm not a fan of a lot of my video efforts, like on camera presence. I feel like I'm alright with it now. Cause years, but I can't watch my 2017 shit. Like, I just can't watch those videos. They make me feel super weird to like look at, and the way I talk, and it's a bad reminder.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. It's hard. I think a lot of people say that, right? It's hard to listen to you or watch your old stuff, and especially if you feel that you've improved, especially then you're just like, oh man, what was I on back then? But the live thing never appealed to me that much. It would actually mess with every time we had a show, and maybe this is part of why I didn't pursue it so much after that one show. Like every time we had a show, my stomach would be messed up for like 2 days.
Yo, say a word.
And I couldn't, like, to get up on stage, I'd have to have at least 2 drinks. And that was dangerous because if I had 4, now I'm going to be probably stumbling, you know what I mean? And my lips will be a little flappily than I want them, right? So it's like I had to maintain this balance, and like the
Those are
whole
all
day of the
real
show,
things.
I'd just be uptight and even up to it and up on the thing. And like the feeling after is almost worth it because it would just feel like such a relief. And especially when, you know, the crowd appreciated it, it's like, I don't know that I've ever felt anything quite like that. You know what I mean? Like it washes over you. Woo! You almost feel like you're floating, right? Like,
Huge yes.
but yeah, I always hated the part before the whole live performance thing.
The part before is trash. It never got better. Well, I mean, it got better in the sense like now I find it like it's kind of boring. Like
Yeah,
I don't know how to like you're waiting. It's just an
right.
exercise of waiting. So you're forced to encounter the task that you're like dealing with in the next hour, and it's like waiting for an exam every time.
Yeah,
And you get good at it, I suppose, of managing it, but like it's really not fun for me
I get good at
preset.
overthinking it.
I like performing as early as possible on a set, so
Yeah,
like I can just be done and then chill the
yeah.
rest of the night and just be
Enjoy
like,
the rest of
because
the
like
acts. Yeah,
everybody before me, I'm not paying attention. I
yeah.
try, but I'm not. I'm like too
No,
busy thinking about bars in my head. Okay, I know where I'm
thinking my own shit. Yeah.
stumbling. I can't. So it's like
If
it's
I start
way,
listening to your stuff, I'm gonna forget my own. Right? My head is full with mine right now. Like,
and you're
yeah.
like,
I never really. And again, I only did like 5 or 6 shows, so maybe a bunch more, and it would have got easier. But it just seemed like that part of it for me never really got better. I would be overthinking it the whole time. You know what I mean? I'd be obviously like thinking in the directions of, oh, what if I mess this part up? Or like, oh, I said the wrong word when I was practicing this song earlier today. What if I blah, blah, blah? You
yeah.
know, stuff like that.